All right, so this Knife Thoughts video is going to be an unboxing of some knives from Tac Knives. And so this is a company that I hadn't been aware of until recently. Actually, Shane from Tac Knives reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in checking out and reviewing some of their out the front knives. And I love out the front knives. I've got several now that they are legal to carry here where I live, and I'm always interested in checking out new companies, and especially because Shane let me know that these are made by Bestech. So Bestech is a company that's pretty well known. They do a lot of OEM work as well as their own brands, and I recently have gotten to check out a few of their knives and think that they do a really good job. So when I heard that these out the front knives from Tac Knives were made by Bestech, I was immediately interested because I didn't know that Bestech had done any out the front knives, even as an OEM for other companies. So I want to jump right into it here. I really don't know what to expect. I haven't seen any reviews on these knives or anything like that. I'm going to use my axial shift to open this up here, and it feels like there's a few knives in here, so we're gonna get to check out a couple different models, seems like. All right, so it looks like this bag was a little worse for the wear, so hopefully it didn't do any damage to any of the contents. But as you can see, these seem to come in a nice little box, so it's a solid plastic box instead of just a paper box or whatever. This one is actually open, but it doesn't look like anything got inside, and we've got a nice little out the front. So I wish that I had used my HK micro incursion, because it would be a great comparison size wise to this knife, but I'll do full reviews on these, and so I'll definitely do that in this. My first impression of this is that it looks nicely finished. So it doesn't have, the cheap look that some, really cheap out the front knives have. It does have a nice look to the anodization. Not exactly the same as like the shift and things like that, but I'll be able to show that closer up in a full review where it's not, me in front of the camera. Interesting pocket clip. You can see it uses kind of a standoff method, which is different than some. And it does have a glass breaker, so you could, break some glass this little thing if you needed to. Let's see how the action is. So nice, sounds good. So it doesn't have that kind of like ting sound that a lot of cheaper out the fronts have, and this is a pretty cool Wharncliffe type, or modified Wharncliffe, almost like a coping blade, actually, like a sheet foot or coping blade. The blade says 154 cm, so that's a pretty good steel. Not a super steel necessarily at this point, but definitely a good steel, and I'm impressed by the action on this. Let's see about blade play. Wow, I'm really impressed by that. I really wish that I had that HK micro incursion with me now, because I really like the HK micro incursion, and I'll have to check side by side, but I think that this has less blade play. And in fact, I actually don't know the price ranges on these knives either. I looked at their website and looked at some of the knives, but I didn't know what I was getting. So I just got to be truthful. This knife has significantly, noticeably less blade play than the axial shift. The axial shift is a bigger knife, but first impressions are good on this. We've got some geese gracing us here, gracing the video with their, if not their visual presence, at least their audio presence, or audio, whatever. So let's move on to, looks like you've got two more in here. So I'm going to take them out. Also, they threw in some screws, which is nice. That's kind of shows that they are okay with you, actually, doing stuff to your knife, which some out the front companies companies known for out the front knives that I won't mention because I don't actually have one, are known to not like you to do. Got some stickers. So established 2014. Like I don't know, maybe other people know about this brand and I'm just behind the curve, but you know, it's not like they're brand new. So there's that sticker, established 2014. And then seems like this is, you know, one of those brands that obviously with it being made by Bestech, it is, you know, made overseas. It's made in China, but it seems like, you know, it's a brand that's based in the US, and then the knives are made in China. So let's open a couple more here. These boxes don't say what they are on them, so I'm not sure what they are. It's a surprise to me as well. Nice boxes though. They got dirty in the bag. Here is a much bigger one. So this is a, I would say medium to large sized out the front knife. So this one has some carbon fiber inlay. You know, whether or not that's your style, it's not always my style, but I'm gonna definitely, you know, see how it lands. And it looks like we've got another Wharncliffe blade. Let's open this one. Nice, very solid sounding. Really, really impressed by the kind of feel of the action on this. The black wash on that Wharncliffe looks pretty cool too. See that? You see a little bit of contrast on the transitions. This one's D2. So I like D2. I like 154 CM. I'm more familiar with D2, to be honest. But I think they're both good. Edge feels nice on this. This thing is super solid. That's the solidest out the front knife I've ever felt. I am shocked by how solid that is. I'm gonna try to get it to have blade play, and it doesn't feel like it does. You can feel a little bit of blade play, but excuse me. Normally on an OTF, you can hear it, right? Microtech, you can hear the blade play on a Microtech. Every Microtech I've ever seen. Certainly Benchmade. And these axials too, you can hear it and feel it. You can barely feel it on this. I don't think there's any forward and back at all. Maybe a little bit, a little side to side, but much less. So I am really impressed by that. Different setup. So this doesn't have the window breaker or the glass breaker, and a different clip setup. But it's kind of a similar aesthetic in the finish. Kind of an orange peel type finish on the handles, on the aluminum part of the handle. So not sure if you can see that, but way more solid than I was expecting. I mean, like I say, I didn't know that Bestech made out the front knives, and so I wasn't sure, you know, how experienced they were with it and things like that. So I was expecting maybe it'll be like, I never was expecting it to be easily the most solid out the front I have ever felt or opened. So yeah. So last one here. Oh, we've got a side opening, which I've never had a side opening. So they're, you know, these are pick and pluck. So you can actually pluck these out to have it fit specifically to the knife. So these are kind of nice little boxes. That's fancy. So, you know, like the Shift, and then these two knives so far from Tac Knives. I would say most out the front knives have the switch on the edge. So this switch is on the flat, and I've never had one. I don't even know if I've ever seen one in person. So I'm excited to try that out. And we've got a double edge. I was hoping to get one of their double edges because they look really nice. I don't have a double-edged, I think I do have a double-edged knife, but no double-edged out the front. This one also has carbon fiber inlays, so give it a little bit of a fancy look to it. 154 CM, very nice looking blade. Now certainly this being a double edge, I think it's ground relatively thickly compared to maybe the Wharncliffes, but boy does that look good. That is a nice classic dagger blade. Let's feel for some blade play here. I can't believe it. I literally can't believe it. I mean, between those two, I was shocked by the first one, as you could probably tell. But between these two, I don't know which one has less. There's probably a little bit more on this one, but it is still just like amazingly solid. Shockingly solid. That grind too, look at that grind. So see how all the way, not just, you know, to of the primary bevel, but all the way to the tip, that is ground pretty much perfectly in the center. Same on both sides. I am really impressed. Again, kind of an orange peel finish to the aluminum, which is different, you know, again, than the shift. It's a little bit like a finer of a finish, I guess, on the shift. But man, look at the action on that too. None of that ting. I mean, the shift has great action. I'm not criticizing the shift either. This is a great knife. But you hear that? This doesn't have that kind of ting to it. Now, it doesn't bother me, but some people have kind of pointed to that as something, you know, that maybe Microtech or whatever doesn't have. But I'll tell you, I am extremely impressed with these. Much more than I expected. These are gonna go right in my pocket. It's getting a little cold out here even for me, and I normally don't mind the cold, so I'm not gonna keep going too much longer. But definitely subscribe to the channel, because I'm gonna do full reviews on these for sure, because I am very, very impressed by the action and the lockup. I mean, there's a little bit of play on this one, but very, very little. And classic designs too. And the other thing is that they are not, as far as I'm aware, you know, very similar to any of the well-known brands kind of designs. And that's something that happens a lot with out the fronts. There are a lot of you know, out the front knives made overseas that are either direct, like rip off, copy, clone, whatever you want to call it, of American brands, or like very, very similar in the design. And I don't think these are. I mean, this has a different handle shape than, you know, any of the well-known brands that I know of. Same here, you know, very, you know, unique design. And I am just genuinely really impressed by these TacKnives knives. So subscribe to the channel so you know when I post the full reviews. Check out my other social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Knife Thoughts, and my website knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like these right here and knife related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.